So as the music plays, we invite you to just relax, close your eyes, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. 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 Gam Ganapataye
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our weekly online satsang. Satsang is a Sanskrit word that literally means community of truth. But for practical purposes, it's a spiritual community of two or more people who are on the path of awakening and the flowering of the heart, who come together to share their journeys, to share their heart and their inner peace with one another. We strengthen each other exponentially when we come together like this. It's an essential ingredient in the spiritual journey. We can only go so far by ourselves. And we need to join with others who are experiencing the awakening process. We'll discover that we have more in common with them than people from our own temples or churches or ashrams who haven't begun to experience these things. And that's what's brought you here tonight. The world needs to shift, and the sooner the better. It happens one person at a time. When you awaken, ripples go out into the collective consciousness, clearing space, making it smoother and easier for others to awaken and flower. So it's essential that we consent to this journey and join together with others who are. When enough of us have begun to truly awaken, it's going to shift the collective consciousness from a global disaster of competition, conflict, and war to a new earth rooted in cooperation, harmony, and peace. This is the time. The Flowering Heart community is not some kind of official organization. People join us with our satsangs online and here at Flowering Heart Center who come from different religious backgrounds, different spiritual teachers and teachings, but what we have in common is that we're all experiencing the transformation and elevation of our consciousness into deeper and deeper states of union with the divine, with one another, and with all that is. To facilitate that process, the divine has given us a transmission we call the Flowering Heart Blessing. It's a direct transmission of awakened divine consciousness and presence, pure grace that catalyzes the flowering of the heart in the receiver. And it's absolutely free, and you're soaking in it right now. And when you've received this blessing just once, the divine showed us you're activated and initiated to be able to share it with others. So we'd like to invite you to join us from this moment on through the satsang tonight in sharing the Flowering Heart blessing with everyone who joins us this evening and with anyone who views this video at any time in the future, even years from now, because the blessing is spirit, and spirit is unbounded by time or distance and space. It's always here and now. Someone who watches the recording of this meeting 10 years from now would feel the same presence, the same energy that we experience here tonight. So just invite the divine to use you as an instrument of grace. If you want to learn more about it, go to our website, floweringheart.org. There's a 36-minute video that discusses a little more in depth the Flowering Heart blessing, and there's a guided meditation that leads you in initiation, although you're initiated right now. But you could gather together with a friend or 10 friends, and even if you don't feel like you could be articulate about blessing of this form, you could just hit the play button on that video on our website or download it to your computer and play it anywhere you like. And 36 minutes later, you'll have a blessing group, which is really good to have. We do this online, but it's so important that we gather with other people face-to-face locally. So try to find a meditation group or a blessing circle that you resonate with, and if you don't, start one. It's so easy. This coming weekend is our monthly interfaith communion with the Cosmic Christ. We do it the last Sunday of each month. It is completely interfaith. more and more people are experiencing the cosmic Christ, that spirit that's without beginning and without end, that Christians believe incarnated through Jesus of Nazareth. The cosmic Christ is that spark of divinity that's at the heart of everything in creation, holds the blueprint for transformation. It is pure love and pure mercy, without beginning and without end. In India, they often refer to the God within as the Paramatma. It goes by various names, the God within, the Christ within. More and more people are experiencing Christ consciousness in these days, but may not relate to the religion per se, for all kinds of reasons you already know. So we invite people of whatever faith tradition they come from. You are welcome to join with us in communion with the cosmic Christ the last Sunday of each month at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The meditation this coming Sunday is going to be merging with God, the mystical path of awakening. There are various approaches to awakening, and this is going to be the mystical path, which centers in merging with God. If you want to know more about that, or that resonates with you, join us 11 o'clock Sunday morning Eastern Time, or the recording, the video will be up for a month on Facebook Live and up semi-permanently on Vimeo if you go there. It's also viewable on LinkedIn and YouTube. So there's so many ways to join us, and we invite you, if you feel called to the Christ consciousness. Anything else we should announce?
Don't think so.
Well, okay then. Oh yeah. If you're on Facebook Live, please give us a thumbs up or a heart or some other emoji that expresses your sentiment. We go in at the end and during the week after this broadcast and see who's signed in and watched. And we send you special hugs and blessings after the satsang is finished. If you're on Vimeo, just enter in the chat your name and say hi, and we'll also send you special blessings at the end. We like to open it at this point to questions and answers on the spiritual journey, and that's a way you can really contribute to the satsangs. Even though all of us are different and each of us has a unique journey, yours is not going to be just like mine or Suzanne's or anyone else's, somehow the path of awakening for individuals seems to go through parallel experiences and challenges along the way. So if there's something you've been pondering, something you've been experiencing in your own journey that you'd like more insight, more clarity about, just ask. And we'll be glad to share the answers we have and open ourselves to the divine, who always shares more light that we can share with you, and we all gain inspiration from that. So while you check with that inner voice of the divine within, and ask if there might be something you could ask in the satsang tonight, I'd like to take a few minutes to share quotes from a website called inspiringquotes.com. A group of authors writes timely, brief articles and share quotes from historical characters who have light to share with us. Tonight, the subject is going to be a little different than we've done before. It's going to be 16 quotes about why we love animals. This collection of quotes and little article was produced by Tony Donnell. We've called on him many times in his offerings. Thank you, Tony. Tony is an English writer of nonfiction and fiction living on the edge of the Amazon jungle, a place Suzanne and I love very much. So here's what Tony has to say about why we love animals. Caring for animals is a huge source of joy and wonder. With more than 1.5 million species of animals on our planet, and many more yet to be discovered, there's plenty out there to love, especially if you're fond of insects, which account for more than half of all known living organisms. Wild animals are certainly fascinating and undeniably beautiful, but most humans reserve a special place in their hearts for their pets, which often become part of the family. Dogs are the most popular pets worldwide, closely followed by their arch rivals, those capricious creatures known as cats. Fish, reptiles, rabbits, rodents, and birds are also kept as pets, albeit less frequently. Here's some quotes from famous animal lovers, from heavyweight philosophers such as Immanuel Kant and Arthur Schopenhauer, to animal conservationists, including Jane Goodall and David Attenborough. So let's hear what some of these luminaries have to say. Love for all creatures is the most noble attribute of man. Charles Darwin. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment to animals. Immanuel Kant. Love the animals. God has given them the rudiments of thought and untroubled joy. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Since compassion for animals is so intimately associated with goodness of character, it may be confidently asserted that whoever is cruel to animals cannot be a good man. Arthur Schopenhauer. I think I could turn and live with animals. They're so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. Walt Whitman. We patronize the animals for their incompleteness. Actually, we patronize the animals for their incompleteness, for their tragic fate of having taken form so far below ourselves. And therein we err, and greatly err, for the animal shall not be measured by man. Henry Beston. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Mahatma Gandhi. If having a soul means being able to feel love and loyalty and gratitude, then animals are better off than a lot of humans. James Herriot. How is it that animals understand things I do not know? How is it that animals understand things I do not know? But it is certain that they do understand. Perhaps there is a language which is not made of words, and everything in the world understands it. Francis Hodgkin Burnett. It is unseemly of us, who often behave so unfeelingly toward other animals, to contend that only humans can suffer. The behavior of other animals renders such pretensions specious. They're just too much like us. Carl Sagan. I had a wonderful teacher about animal behavior, my dog Rusty. He taught me that animals have personalities, minds, and feelings. Jane Goodall. If we can teach people about wildlife, they will be touched. Share my wildlife with me, because humans want to save things that they love. Steve Irwin. Animals are sentient, intelligent, perceptive, funny, and entertaining. We owe them a duty of care as we do to children. Michael Morpurgo. I've always felt that animals are the purest spirits in the world. They don't fake or hide their feelings, and they are the most loyal creatures on earth. And somehow, we humans think we're smarter. Pink. Never be embarrassed by how much you care about animals and how they're treated. Stephanie Feldstein. Look after the natural world and the animals in it and the plants in it too. This is their planet as well as ours. David Attenborough. Nice stuff there.
Yeah. And our deepest sympathies and prayers and blessings go out to Jeanette, to her beloved Macy. Her dog passed away this week, and so we can hold her in love and prayer and blessings. It was a great loss, so sending lots of love and blessings.
There's a quote we shared at another time, which I can only paraphrase, from Mark Twain, where he said, "Tell me that a man loves cats, and I don't need to know anything more about him. I am his friend." He had bunches of cats, Twain. Probably had some dogs too. Okay. So, Yekaterina says, I very much like Psalm 23 because it gives me peace to know that God will provide and protect me during difficult times. Can we use it literally as affirmations for abundance and fulfillment? Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the most traditionally known translation of that from the King James Bible. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That whole psalm, all 6 verses, is an affirmation, affirming that the Lord is your shepherd. Sheep are absolutely trusting, surrendered, and dependent on the shepherd. And the shepherd is fully committed to his sheep. It talks about the divine presence causing you to lie down in green pastures beside still waters, restoring your soul, leading you in the paths of righteousness. And this statement, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. A shepherd in this time, biblical times, had 2 sticks he carried. One was the shepherd's crook with the hook at the top, and the other was a rod. The shepherd's crook was used to help the sheep if they fell into a hole or off the edge of a cliff and they were stuck. The shepherd would use the crook to gently hook the sheep and bring them back to safety. The rod, on the other hand, was a weapon with which the shepherd would drive off predators that would come to devour them. So there's both the protective, gathering heart of the shepherd and the rod that protects from all darkness and destructions. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Now there's one for you. No matter what's going on, if God, if the divine presence is your shepherd, then God will prepare prosperity, abundance, provision for you, even in the presence of conflict, enemies, war. It says, you anoint my head with oil and my cup runneth over. The sheep would sometimes get in brambles and their faces would get cut and they get wounded. And the shepherds would take olive oil and anoint their wounds to help heal them. And just this final verse, what an affirmation. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This was a Psalm of David. Very beautiful. I'm glad you like it so much, Catherine. I do too, and so do countless people through thousands of years now. Stacy says, no questions, just profound gratitude for electricity and air conditioning. We live in Florida, we get that.
Yeah. Though it's funny, I spend so much time outside every day. Like 90% of my waking hours are outside, and I've gotten a little bit averse to air conditioning. When I come inside, it feels chilly to me because I've acclimated to the natural temperatures. And though I don't feel that way in winter when it's really cold outside, I'd much prefer the warmth.
Well, my family moved to Florida, hot, sunny Florida, when I was 8 years old. And I used to thank God that I was not born before air conditioning in Florida, because it can get hot here. And it's nice to have it. No question, Stacy. Michael Christopher writes, is there a way to speed up getting these lessons? I've heard the same things for years from others, and yet I'm just getting them. Well, is there a way to speed up getting these lessons? What would you say?
Grace. I think the more that we're in our heads, the more that we're blocking new information from coming in. You know, there's that old saying that, you know, is your cup half full or half empty? And if it's full, there's no space in it for anything new to be poured in. And so I think that our minds and our egos do that to us. We think that we know everything, and when we get confused, our mind comes up with an answer. And the more that we can empty that out and come into that quiet place in our hearts, the mind's going to still try and pop back up and and thinks that it's in control and knows everything. But for me, the biggest acceleration in my spiritual growth has been when I've been able to, just say, help, and I don't know the answer, and I don't have all the answers, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing. This book that we're reading, there was a passage a couple chapters ago saying, I try and be I'm paraphrasing very loosely, but I try and be of service to as many people as I can, and I speak from my heart and always know what to say, but then I recognize that some people are there to teach me, and I listen very diligently because we're all each other's teachers and students, and to be able to have the wisdom to recognize the difference in that. I can always learn. I learn on these Monday nights. I never know what questions are going to come. We never know, and we get inspiration and divine guidance on what to say. And I learn too during these webcasts. So there's always room to grow. Just how receptive are we?
So, is there a way to speed up getting these lessons? Well, Suzanne mentioned one way is ask. I want to learn more. I realize there's so much more to learn. Ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you. But then there's divine timing. We're all on our own sort of timetable. And there's often a reason for it. We weren't ready 20 years ago to learn the lessons that we're learning now. And there are times where I and others I've known intimately have asked God to speed it up. Speed this up. This is painful. I need to grow. I need to shed ego. My heart needs to open. Speed this up. Only to discover that, whoa, slow down. God knows exactly the speed at which we can handle it, because there's a lot to learn about ourselves, and some of it's wonderful and exciting, and some of it can be quite painful, because in the process of learning these lessons, we're facing our self-centeredness, our ego, our lack of openness. And if the light were to just strike you full force right now, it's very difficult. I mean, Eckhart Tolle is often an example of someone that just awakens suddenly, overnight. He woke up one morning and his ego had just caved in. He spent the next 2 years basically on a park bench feeding pigeons, waiting to recombobulate. What happened? What now? So it can render you non-functional. We saw that in India. We saw everybody wanted to grow fast and be enlightened right now, but some of the beings that were taken into very, very high states of oneness, some people would call them enlightened, I don't know that they are, but they're very high cosmic states, swiftly were rendered completely non-functional. Other people had to feed them, bathe them, take care of them, lead them by the hand. And it took years for some of them to be able to carry on for themselves. Some of these beings we used to call cosmic beings in these very high states could not speak. Ramana Maharshi, a great God-realized enlightened master, one of the greatest of the last 100 or so years, he didn't speak. Meher Baba, a great enlightened Sufi mystic from India, he was suddenly awakened by the kiss of the saint on his forehead. And he didn't speak after that. I don't think he could. I've experienced moments of that where I had very deep meditations, very powerful breakthroughs, and then someone would come in the room and I couldn't talk. Someone I was very close to, when they were initiated in their meditation practice, got much farther than most people do in years, but she couldn't speak for 2 weeks. So, I mean, there's a reason why things move at the rate that they do. And we can only speed it up so much. But yes, we can fertilize the growth process by divine reading the inspired texts of great enlightened beings and saints. We can spend time in prayer and meditation. All of those things help. What Suzanne was saying, giving ourselves to service, deliberately turning from self-centeredness to service of the collective, of the greater good, all that accelerates the process. But again, if we're pushing to go faster, that's just the ego. Because if we let go of the ego is what's getting dissolved in the process. So do you want the Band-Aid to be taken off suddenly or slow? It depends on the Band-Aid. That's all I'm saying. So Michael says, yeah, I might not have been receptive out of fear. Easier to blame others. And then he said,
Good
nope.
insight.
Nope, I'm the problem. Well, problem is a self-judgment.
Right.
You know, we've been sharing this book together, Peace Pilgrim, her life and works in her own words. Amazing saint, American saint. And what did she say? It's just immaturity. Mm-hmm. We're ignorant. I mean, we're not like super beings who know everything. We're learning. And as we learn, we have to integrate that and we have to put it into practice and integrity in our lives. That's a process. And if we're unable to do it, and you can look at all of our lives 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, it was because we were immature spiritually and psychologically. A monk friend of mine in India, and it always stuck with me, it really helped me a lot, said, stop judging yourself. You did the best that you could do in the state of consciousness you were in at that time. Mm. So you're not the problem. I mean, self-consciousness, self-centeredness, ego is at the heart of the problem. But it's just that we're children growing.
Yeah.
We're just immature.
It made me think of like a toddler having a cup of Cheerios and throwing them everywhere just because it looked so pretty or it was so fun, not thinking of, oh my, that's going to be horrible to clean up, or we'll step on it and then we're going to have to vacuum, and the whole way an adult would think about it, or taking a cup of milk or a drink and then dumping it out because you want to see the water cascading down or whatever it is. And to get upset with the child for that, they just don't have the concept that what they were doing has those kinds of consequences, that it's going to take more time for the parent or caretaker to pick it up. So, just have as much patience with ourselves and our inner child as we would with another child that's just growing. And if we're impatient, then, adjust that, because everybody's got their process and their own time and their own way of being.
And Michael writes, for a guy my age, oh, here we go. For a guy my age, I should have gotten this a long time ago. Mm. Should have? Stop shooting on yourself.
Yeah.
Because...
And Michael's at my age, we're still learning, we're still growing, we're still making mistakes, and we're still, having to move past that, and what are we learning from that?
Things will come up and I'll go, my God.
How did I not know that?
Here I am, and a septuagenarian, and there are things, that I should have gotten years ago. And so we all have room to grow. We're all, as Suzanne said, we're all each other's teachers and we're all each other's students. Yeah. Some of us are more advanced, that's right. But it's never too late. And there's too much judgment in that statement. For a guy my age, I should have gotten this a long time ago. Who's to say that? Your unique process is something that God is using through you to help other people and touch other people. And this is going to continue. Who knows? Maybe you're going to blossom into some state of integration and consciousness you can't imagine when you hit your 60s. So what if it takes 60 years to get there? Most people live and die and never get there.
Right.
A lot of people, I mean, untold numbers of people, Michael, have lived longer than you and died and never realized things that you have already realized and come to.
Right.
So don't be so hard on yourself.
Exactly.
Life is hard enough.
It is.
You know?
It really is.
But Jesus says, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will refresh you. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and humble of heart." I mean, the divine, what the divine is calling us to is so much gentler than what we've thought. And in a way, we have been the problem because we've been too hard on ourselves. And we've pushed and tried to blow the door down, and all we need to do is say,
Knock.
Here I am, Lord.
Knock, knock.
Teach me, show me. Like the shepherd. Sheep are the stupidest, well,
Wait, we just did a thing on animal quotes.
sheep are wonderful, delightful, humble, pure creatures, but they're not well known for being the smartest flock animal. Sheep are kind of dumb. And they're absolutely dependent on the shepherd. The shepherd has to lead them, or they just get lost. And that's us. And there's a reason why this divine spirit inspired David to speak of our relationship with the divine as sheep with a shepherd. And Yekaterina is absolutely right. In responding to Michael, nope, I'm the problem, she writes, I feel you are very committed to your growth. Indeed.
Yeah, indeed.
And that says a lot.
It does.
I've seen people give up for far less. So, I want to pat you on the back now, but I don't want it to go to your head because that's just going to be another obstruction of your path. So I think that's it.
I just want to add
go
one more
ahead.
thing. We had some dear friends visiting this last week. Kristen and Frank Panic from Flowering Heart, Illinois, Flowering Heart Center. You might want to check out their website. They've got some really beautiful insights. And anyway, they were down visiting, and they told us about this woman. Her name is Veda, V as in Victor, EDA, Austin. And she's doing a lot of experimenting and research on water and consciousness, and she's kind of like taken Dr. Emoto's work with water to a whole new level. And I would just encourage you to, there's several YouTube videos up, and I think she's got some books out. So I would encourage you to dive a little bit deeper into the consciousness of water. It's really it's really amazing. So I'm just now diving into it myself, so I'm not going to be very articulate speaking about it, but just run a little YouTube search or Google search and go down that rabbit hole a little bit. It's pretty fun.
So Kristen and Frank, our dear friends, are the founders and directors of Flowering Heart Center in Illinois.
I just said that.
And they are like our sister center.
Yeah.
And so if you're ever in that, repeating all that because if you're ever in their area, drop in.
Yeah.
I think you'll be blessed. And they do some things online too. So find their website, get on their newsletter list. I think it's time to go to the next.
Okay.
Okay. So you could go ahead and close your eyes and invoke the divine presence. invite, call upon, welcome the divine within you to fill you with grace. The divine source lives within you in all of its fullness. And it is pure unconditional love. It loves you exactly as you are. With all of your quirks, your slow learning, all of our imperfections. The divine was not surprised by any of that. I don't know why we are. But the divine knows what we're doing and what we're ever going to do in the future and loves us all the same. And it yearns to draw you into itself, into the heart, at the center of your being, and dissolve all of the illusions of separation and distance and melt you into oneness with your true essence, which is the divine itself. So open yourself to receive, drink in living waters of the divine presence. Christ said, out of your inmost being will flow rivers of living waters. Come and drink. You don't need to beg. You don't need to jump through hoops or pass a test. Just open up and begin to drink the light that is pouring out to you from the center of your being. Pouring down from you, on you from above, pouring out to you from every direction is the omnipotence, the all-knowing, all-wise, all-loving presence, and it yearns to free you from all suffering and draw you into peace and love. No need to struggle, just let go and receive. It will fill your heart with light. The presence will fill your soul with the grace that melts wrong thinking and emotions and programming and floods you with inspiration from the divine itself. It will flood your physical body with healing grace and your relationships miracles of transformation. Receive. Soak it up. Sharp, disordered thoughts, ideas, programs. Let the presence dissolve all of that and heal your soul. Receive healing for your soul, for your body, for your relationships, for your life. Imagine that we're sitting in a circle with our eyes closed. And lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward, and let us invite the presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through you and me, through all of us, to one another. When we give it away like this for others, as it flows through us, we're transformed. Thus it's said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Picture the planet Earth in the middle of our circle. Let us ask the divine to melt from the human heart fear, hatred, judgment and violence from the hearts of all people everywhere. War must cease. We ask the divine to fill the earth with peace, love, and to awaken the heart of humanity. Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Now you could open your eyes when you're ready and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. Just keep gazing at least one of our eyes and don't look away as we enter the light meditation. Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans, grace, and light, and love for you. And it floods through every pore of our being to you, especially through our eyes, for they are the windows of the soul. As you keep looking, making direct eye contact with one or both of us, the light streams out through our eyes, in through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light of awakening to grow brighter and brighter, and the fires of divine love to burn brighter and brighter within you, transforming you from within. Just keep looking and receive. That's all you need to do. close your eyes now. Meditate with us for a few more minutes as the grace settles within you. Keep meditating as long as it feels good to you. Or you could lie down in Shavasana. That's where you lie comfortably on your back nearby, with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides, with your palms open, turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve with gratitude in the divine presence. We love you so much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet again, know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you. And we bow to you. Namaste.
Namaste.